Umair Qureshi with my wonderful colleague and co-host of the show, I Talk Live, and this is one and only Tammy with us today. So, apologies for the late start. We had to start it at 9 a.m. EST, but today there was some technical issue. That is why we got late, a bit late. So, before Tammy starts, an introduction of the wonderful guest who is an awesome educationist. Let me tell you that EdTalk Live is a collaborative project of Pakistani SCD and ELA SCD, and we try to bring the best voices from the world on education, sharing their experiences, ideas, and thoughts, and the wonderful, innovative things they have done for the betterment of this field. Secondly, we have a YouTube channel as well, and if you want to show our previous shows, we can you can go and subscribe to our channel, and you can watch them. So, hey, Tammy, tell us who is with us.
Hi. Very excited that we've got Jacob Sule on today. He's based in Nigeria. So, hello, Jacob. Thanks for joining us today.
Hello, Tammy and Umar. I'm pleased and excited to join you all the way from Nigeria. And then greetings to you from Nigeria.
Thank you. So I'm just going to give a bit of an introduction, and it's exciting that we have you with us today because we've come about you in a different way than a lot of our other guests. So today with us is Jacob Sule. He's an United Nations Sustainable Development Goal advocate. He's the executive director of the iReadInitiative, which is on Twitter. And he is a KDSL Global board member, which I am as well. And that's how we got to know each other. We'll talk a little bit about that. He's a Teach SDG ambassador. He's an International Literacy Association 2019 champion and leader of Inspire Citizens in Africa. No big deal at all. A lot of stuff going on. So the interesting thing I find about Jacob too is he's not in education by the way a lot of us are, but he's come about it through a different way, through law and policy administration. So he does a lot of advocating for quality education in Nigeria and teacher professional development. So it's really exciting to have him with us today. So welcome again to you, Jacob.
Thank you very much, Tammy. I'm so excited and thrilled to join you.
And great to have you on the show.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Because today I feel like our topic is really timely with some of the things that are happening in the world today. But we'll start a little bit just so you can give us a little bit more background about yourself and how your interest in the iReadInitiative and global education and law. How has this all transpired for you?
Okay, thank you very much, Tammy and Umar. Like you did say, you've done an awesome introduction of myself. And I got something very important there. I am not into education like very many other global teachers around the world. Mine is a shift from the usual thing in which you have. Like you did say, yes, I have my background is in policy making, which we call public administration in Nigeria. And then when you graduate from college, after your 4 or 5 years in college, you have to go on a 1-year National Youth Compulsory Service. And then you're posted to different parts of the country to learn about the cultures and diversity of other parts of Nigeria. So during my own service here in 2012, I was posted to the north central part of Nigeria, where I served as a lecturer. So during the course of my service here, I had the opportunity to interact with students from different backgrounds, close to 2,000 students. So then I picked an interest in education particularly. So when I picked interest in that, I had to ensure that beyond service as a core member, I ensured that I worked with primary schools, secondary schools, which we call basic schools over there in different parts of the world, to ensure that we can really understand the reason why we're into education. For us in Nigeria, we have this belief that when you go to school, you would have everything at your feet. But then there's a little difference because we believe that education should be what will prepare you for the future, not that when you leave school, you begin to look for what to prepare you into the future. So upon my service here, when I finished my service here, I went back to school to study law. And the reason I went back to study law was that I needed to see how we can change the situation in Nigeria. For you to change anything in Nigeria, you must understand the law. And then you don't expect a non-law person or a non-law graduate to advocate for changing the constitution. So when I returned back to school in 2015 to study law, in my second year, I got introduced to the Universal Declaration Act of 1948 that states so many issues about rights to child, right to education, why everybody must have access to education. So I felt, okay, this is a good place for me to begin to tap on the strength of young people. So in my university where I studied law, we had my university is located in a rural area where there are no banks, you have to no primary healthcare facilities, no electricity, and then you have to struggle through school. But then I felt we cannot continually to earn a law certificate from this community and not give back to the community. And we as students, we don't have the resources to build schools or to buy the uniform. So I felt, okay, as law students, the only thing we can do is to engage their children to have access to quality education. So I came about the I Read to Live initiative by putting together a team of law students from to year 5. And then we went around all the schools in that community. We had interviews with parents. We met with traditional rulers. We met with students. We asked questions on how they think we can address the issue of inequality to education in that particular state in Nigeria. And then I can tell you that 5 years after we've started this advocacy, we've done amazingly well. We've left Nigeria to the US, like we've gone amazingly well preaching the gospel of quality education. So that's how I came about the I Read to Live initiative. So to conclude, I Read to Live initiative is a team of young people who are law students, and then some are also undergraduates in other institutions who are passionate about the SDGs goal for of quality education, and then see how we as young people, the truth is the SDGs belongs to us as young people, not to you, the older ones. You have done your part. So this nation belongs to us. And then the only way we can change this nation is to see how we can make sure that everybody has access to quality education.
That's awesome. That's amazing. So then how did you find the connection to KDSL Global, who I met through ASCD? So how did you come about that connection?
Thank you. It's a good policy expert. You must be good in research. You must be able to go beyond your book. So I got on the internet. I needed to do something extraordinary. So I felt, okay, let me look through the North America, South America, Asia, and then Europe. And so I came across Kevin, who is the executive director for KDSL. And then we had some few exchange of emails. Then I requested for a call session where we had to connect via WhatsApp. And then we spoke for over an hour that particular day. Then we spoke at length on how we can share ideas to build a sustainable education framework in Nigeria, how we can interact with our teachers. Then particularly, I was looking for a way in which I could connect our teachers here in Nigeria to teachers in the US or in Asia or in Dubai, so that they can begin to explore the strength of technology. Because the challenge we have here is that we have schools, we have very good schools, we have very good infrastructure, but then the major challenge is our teachers are not 21st century certified. So I felt I needed a young person who is passionate and then who has skills around this thing. So that was why I went on the internet. And then thankfully, I came across Kelvin, we got talking, and then I did a background check on KDSL. And then today, I'm glad to tell you that I'm one of the Global Advisory Council member championing the cause of KDSL here in Nigeria.
Yeah, it's really cool how you came about finding Kevin at KDSL Global in a different way than I did. But the cool thing was, because of him, we connected, which was really cool. And one of my passions is the UN Sustainability Goals. So, Umair, do you want to take the next question? We'll talk a little more about that.
I'm really impressed by these by the words he said and the passion he has. Jacob, in case of our audience members are unsure about the Sustainable Development Goals, can you give a brief synopsis of the goals and their relevance to all of us as global citizens?
Thank you. I think that question is quite timely, and it's coming at a point in which the whole world is connected with one thing. In the US, it's either the climate change. Here in Nigeria, is either poverty. in part of the world. Like there are so many issues around the world. So the United Nations Sustainable Goal came up as a result of a transition from the MDGs in 2015. Like we all know, in September 10, 2015, world leaders met at the United Nations, and then they agreed to sign a new charter of 17 phenomenal goals. The essence of these goals are meant to end poverty and provide long life learning for all. And then when you look through the goals are so amazing. And then I'll start with the goal of number one, which says that no poverty. This goal seeks to ensure that by 2030, both young and old, everyone will find a way to reduce poverty drastically. Yes, it is an equivalent text, but then when you and I put resources together, we can mobilize and then see how we can end poverty globally. And then there's one thing interesting in which I usually tell people: we need not build a whole nation before we end poverty. While you're there in Pakistan, I'm here in Nigeria, you're there in the country in which you are, we must take actions as individuals to see how we can end poverty. So that's what goal one seeks to address. And then goal number two says zero hunger. Now, when you look at it, how would you end hunger and poverty? You can see the relationship between these two goals, that while you're taking action on poverty, you're also finding a way to solve hunger. So goal number two seeks to ensure that you and I, by 2030, there will be no hunger again in the land. Then look at goal three. Goal three says good health and well-being. Now, I want to draw a synergy between goal one, goal two, and goal three. If there's poverty in the land and there's hunger, nobody will be healthy. So we are trying to see how by 2030, everybody can take action to ensure that we have good health and well-being. And then at the end, mortality rate, we want to see how kids in school can begin to have access to quality primary health care, how the old and young can have access to, to swim. And then goal number four, which is the mother of all, says quality education. Now, how can we ensure, what is the parameter quality education? So for us here in Nigeria, our focus is to ensure that by 2030, all, regardless of age, your color, your skin, your culture, have access to free, quality, and equitable education. You guys are lucky that in the West you have access to all of these things. But then I can tell you, just a few years ago, some of our kids were in classrooms in the US, in the North. And then some hoodlums came and kidnapped those girls. 4 years down the line, these kids have not been found. So what are we trying to do as a nation? We are trying to see how we can make our schools safe and ensure that everybody has access to quality education. Now, goal number 5 says gender equality. We want to ensure that all boys and girls have equal access to opportunities in life. Not just you being a boy child or being a girl child, but gender equality means all boys and girls, all male and female, must have access to equal opportunities in life. And then goal number 6 talks of clean water and sanitation. How can we achieve clean water and sanitation? Yes, it is an equivalent task. For us here in Nigeria, we've done a few things around ensuring clean water and sanitation. Just a few months ago, we collaborated with the Wishford Foundation in the US to donate 150 sanitary pads to girls in rural areas, because we found out that girls are no longer going to school because they do not have access to sanitary pads. So we are trying to see that, because the UN SDG says that by 2030, we want to ensure that we have access to clean water and sanitation. Then goal 7 says affordable and clean energy. Goal 8 says decent work and economic growth. How can we ensure that people from university to decent jobs? And then what are the parameters for decent job? If you're not educated, note that word. Now it takes me back to goal number 4. You can't have access to the required skill. I think goal is saying it serves for effective outcomes. So goal number 8 is like it partners with goal number 4, so that learning process, when you leave your college or your institution, you will be able to get the jobs in which you desire. And then goal number 9 is saying industry, innovation, and infrastructure. We want to build up, want to have very amazing infrastructures. Then goal number 10 says reduce inequalities. The truth is, both in the US, in America, in London, in Africa, in Ghana, everywhere, there are inequalities everywhere. But then we are trying to see that as young people, how can we take actions locally to ensure that we reduce these inequalities across our nations? And then Good 11 says sustainable cities and communities. How do we make our countries sustainable? How do you make our community sustainable? And then it starts with you and I. When you consume things, do you put them in the right context? So this goal seeks to ensure that we have sustainable cities and cities that are that can run on its own. And then 12 says responsible consumption. How many of us are beginning to take teas without bubbles? I was in China a few months ago, and then I saw very young kids who were taking bubbleless tea, and I was like amazed. I've never taken such until I got back to China. And then I'm beginning to see that how do we work on this issue of responsible consumption? Now, you go to the markets or you go to the various stores, and then you have different, for example, you buy chocolates and then everything is being packed into one nylon. Can't we devise a means that we do not have to litter everywhere? Why can't we just pack everything? So this goal seeks to ensure that how we can address this issue of responsibility in our consumption. And then goal 13, which I'm one of the biggest fans, says climate action. Just a few weeks ago, a 16-year-old girl from Sweden, Greta Thunberg, was at the UN, not by air, but by boat. Now, you can begin to see young people taking action to end climate change. Fortunately, we do not really have, in quotes, climate issues here in Nigeria. But then we do not need to wait until we begin to experience climate actions in Nigeria. So this goal seeks to ensure that we as young people now ensure that we put actions in place and become climate activists to ensure that we save the ocean, we protect the ozone layer, and then emissions should be properly discarded. So this goal seeks to ensure that we have a safe and sustainable climate around us. And then goal 14 says life below water. The animals, their fisheries, are all that. We want to see how we can protect these animals and ensure that they have life. Then goal 17, life on land. 16 says peace, justice, and strong institutions. I'm a big fan of this goal. Having earned a law degree, the question is how sustainable can we keep our institutions? Should the institution be run after somebody? Now, should ASCD be run after Tammy, or Tammy and Umar should build people? I believe in building capacity of people. So today, when I leave iReadInitiative, the next volunteer should be able to lead that institution. So this goal says that we must build strong and peace and strong institutions. And then I must commend what the UNODC, particularly Education for Justice, are doing. Very great guys, trying to see how they can strengthen young people. So this goal seeks to ensure that our institutions are not built around people, and then we ensure that there's peace, justice on the basis of equality. And that is why you see in Nigeria, the Lady Justicia has his hands open with a sword on the right hand and a scale on the other hand, and with the eyes tied. The significance of that is that when you come to the courts of law, regardless of your color, the judge will make a decision based on the facts of your case. So if we're trying to advocate for this, it's not because, I know Tammy is the chief judge of Nigeria, so if I get to her, I'll get justice. No, this goal seeks to see that regardless of what you have, people get justice based on what it is. And then number 17 says partnership for the goal. Umar is from Pakistan. You are from, I think you're from America, right, Tammy?
I'm from Canada, yeah.
You're from Canada, and then I'm from Nigeria. Now you can see partnership now. We are connecting together across boundaries, across nations, to see how we can enlighten people around the SDGs, how we can get young people involved in this project. And then, this is one of the biggest things which I like so far. Bring your little ideas out, no matter how big they are, no matter how small they are. Let all of us come together to ensure that we achieve this goal by 2030. So in summary, or in conclusion, these goals are interconnected. You can't do one and let go of two. You can't do 16 and let go of 4. You can't do 8 and let go of others. But for us as young people, the bedrock of the SDGs is goal number 4. Without education, we cannot achieve any of those goals.
Exactly. I so agree. Thank you for running through all of the goals. Do you see sorry, I'm taking over your question, Umar. As usual, do you see, like, because you have such an enthusiasm and you have a group of people who are working with you in the iRead initiative, do you see that enthusiasm spreading in your region, like the drive to have quality education for all people?
Yeah, I must say that this conversation is coming at a very timely time. The enthusiasm is quite amazing, and then young people are beginning to champion change. Well, based on the fact that I am prone to, I have never seen the Nigerian government take young people to the UN to discuss about the SDGs. Just this recently concluded 74th session, we had young people, climate activists, who, in fact, they even met with the president at the sideline of the United Nations. That's quite amazing. So we have young people who are doing amazingly well in achieving the SDGs. I can't begin to name names, but there are very young people who have this drive, who are doing amazing things. And then just a few months ago, I think sometimes in August, the Nigerian Youth SDGs Network hosted a dialogue session across the 6 regions of this country at the same time. And then when you look at the category of people that are around this project, they were very young people, the likes of Joshua, the likes of Dr. Amesh, and then Ife Agbola, Mayoko, and then, look around the world in Nigeria. Young people are beginning to take actions. We're no longer convenient with the status quo, and then we are running together as a team of young people to see how we can make the world sustainable. So the enthusiasm is amazing. The young people are excited, young people are passionate, and then young people are readily available to do what they can do to ensure that our communities remain sustainable.
Yeah, and like you said too, all of the goals are very interconnected. So because you've done a lot of work with educators, I follow you on Twitter, so I see what's happening in your region. So can you maybe give, like for teachers and other educators, school administrators, let's say they want to start bringing this awareness more into their school in terms of speaking to the goals. So they might be doing some of these things already, but do you think that there's like a starting point, or could you give a little piece of advice for like, okay, we're going to bring the goals into the school kind of formally, like we're going to put the posters up and we're going to choose. What do you suggest people do for a starting point? Because there's 17 goals and they're all interconnected. It's a lot.
Well, I think I'll give a reference to what I've been doing. Just a few days ago, we started what we call the Teach SDGs in schools. So what we do is that as young people, we go into the schools, we meet with the teachers, we meet with the students for a 90-minute discussion, which we meet with them. So what I would tell teachers around the world or educators around the world is there are readily available frameworks and partners in which you can work with. Like I did say, as a leader of Inspired Citizens here in Nigeria, Steve Soksak in China, and then Aaron Bonis are very amazing educators who are working around the SDGs and then trying to see how they can get teachers and students connected so they can begin to take action. So to start with, I would want the teachers themselves to understand the indicators and targets of the SDGs. When they understand that, they in turn can they can design a framework or work with Steve or Aaron to understand how they can implement all of these projects into their classrooms. And then what you're doing here also is quite amazing. We can also set up calls with teachers around the world to train them about the SDGs and then see how we can identify peculiar issues. For example, now, we were in the school just a few days ago in the Lightsome School in Nigeria. The students might not be able to take action on goal 14 and 15, which is life on water and life below land. But then there are peculiar goals in which the kids can take action on, which is goal number 1 on saying no poverty. So we are trying to see how the student themselves, alongside their agricultural teacher, we can pair students to own different plots of land, different portion of lands. They will plant maize and like very little grains. They plant, and then when these things germinate, they can harvest them and call for an exhibition where market women would come and buy. So for teachers around the world who want to take actions on this, first you need to understand your environment, look at the goal that fits into your environment, and then look out for educators like what you're doing here today. We can begin to set up a call with them, connect our classrooms together, share with them this is how we think you can work. And then if you need experts who are really passionate about this, then we can begin to reach out to the likes of KDSL. We can reach out to Inspire Citizens in the US. And then we can also look out to the likes of Dr. Jennifer Williams in the United States. She does a lot around teacher proficiency, and then very other amazing people working around. But the simple truth of this is that teachers must understand what they really want. So upon identifying what they want, we can now begin to see how we can tailor down and streamline what they want to achieving what they really want their kids to learn around the SDGs.
Awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
We're in our last 3 minutes already, but go ahead, Umar.
Okay.
There's so much to talk about.
I know KDSL is a very extrovert sort of organization, and they are always helpful and they are working great. There are some organizations, I don't tell me how do you feel about UNESCO, but I feel that bit introvert. Am I right?
Sorry, say that again.
Sorry, I didn't get it.
Yeah.
I feel that is my personal feeling that UNESCO is bit introvert sort of organization. But KDSL is very open and they are very extrovert and they interact a lot. So my question is, Jacob, did you get enough support from your government side and your local communities when you are talking about SDGs, or you are just fighting alone?
Oh, thank you, Umar. Well, like I did say at first, young people are not waiting for government to do things for them. So if we wait for government, we're not going to achieve anything. And then if you look at the mission of my statement, our mission of iRead to Live, our mission says supplementing government efforts. Please mark the word supplementing government efforts in the realization of the SDGs. The truth is, government owns the courts, government owns the schools, government owns the businesses, government owns the whole thing. So there's no way you can work in isolation with government. Yes, we've received very amazing support from government, from our local communities, and then with state, and even interestingly, we've received very huge support from those around the world. Tammy is one of them having this conversation. You are there. What you're doing today, you're supporting young people like us who are passionate about education. So the truth is, we are not waiting on government to put money on our table for us. We're using our skills, we're using our exposure, we're using our strengths. So the truth is, today we might not be at the UN today. We might not get support from UNESCO today. But the truth is, what we do as young people.
Right. Yes.
Uh-oh, we've got a glitch. Yeah.
The video has paused.
See if he
I love the passion.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I was really excited. Hopefully he'll come back on. But I was just excited that because he and I are both on the global advisory committee for KDSL Global, and that's how we met. Even though we came about the organization by different avenues, we're partners, and so we had an initial call, and I'm like, you know what, you need to be on Ed Talk Live to talk about this. So unfortunately, we've got a glitch there, but I know that
we'll be rejoining.
Yeah, let's see if we can pop back in for the end.
Well, I can relate a lot while listening to Jacob. I can relate a lot. On World Economic Forum ranking, Pakistan's educational ranking and Nigeria's educational ranking is quite close to each other. So I can see that it's not aggression. It's like the wish to bring your country up.
Of course, yeah.
So that is really exciting, and that is full of energy. I mean, I really see people with such high energy. No.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's really it's promising too that he's not an educator by trade like we are, but his studies have brought him to this point where he sees obviously the importance of quality education for his community. So it's exciting that's what he's been doing. So is he back on there at all? Or, yeah, there we go. Okay.
He's joining us. Let's see.
All right.
Hey, Jacob, welcome back. Okay. Oh,
Right.
Are we okay there?
Thank you.
Yeah, it seemed to drop off. So we were just talking a little bit about your passion for moving things forward in your country, and just it's just inspiring to see how you're so driven to make improvements and yeah, and create the quality of education in your country. So we're at our half an hour mark already, but did you have any last few words you wanted to say, Jacob, before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think I'll just tell people around the world that regardless of where you're located, whether the north, the south, the west, or the east, people are passionate about what you're doing. So my words are to every young person over there, regardless of where you find yourself, do not and make the world a better place. Then I tell people this: people may forget your name, some might decide the choice, but then your impact in changing lives will forever linger in our hearts.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. So we'll have, that was a really great show, a lot of information. We've got a few comments about just, it's informative and a good topic. So we'll have a few of the resources that you mentioned just on the Facebook page and on the YouTube channel. So the episode will go on YouTube in the next few hours. So for people who can view it afterwards if they didn't get to watch it live. So thank you for being with us today, Jacob. It was great to have you. And I know that we're going to have a lot more conversations about this really important topic.
Jacob,
thank you, my pleasure.
All right.
So thank you very much.
Thank you,
going off here, right?
Wish you guys the best.
Thank you,
very much, and that was really inspiring. So for the viewers, please do share this show link, and we are going to upload this show on YouTube channel as well. Do share the link with your friends, and do let us know what you did like, and do let us know who you want us to interview and bring on the show. We are going to bring another wonderful educator next week. We have a show next week, right, Tammy?
No, in 2 weeks. Yeah.
In 2 weeks. Yeah. So the notifications will be up on the page. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you, Umar.
Have a good day.
Thank you.